This is No Password Required, a Cyber Florida podcast presented by ThreatLocker.
Welcome to No Password Required. I'm your host, Jack Clabby. I'm a cybersecurity attorney at Carlton Fields. With me, as always,
I'm Kaylee Melton, the Executive Director of Operations for the Cognitive Security Institute and the Bob Ross of InfoSec.
So we are here live at CyberBay 2026 in Tampa, Florida. We're here at the ThreatLocker podcast studio, thanks to our presenting sponsor, ThreatLocker, for making this possible. About 10 feet away from us are a couple of tables where they're doing a capture the flag to capture the CyberBay Cup. So we are in the thick of it here at CyberBay. We're really lucky today because we have with us one of the sort of cool, I don't want to say local minds. We are local, but you're also national in scope. But you're a project manager for a lot of cool things that are happening at Rapid7. But we have Cynthia Wyre with us today. Cynthia, welcome to the No Password Required podcast.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. You are correct. I am a strategic engagement project manager. I know, a lot of words. What does that mean? A lot of it.
What does it mean?
Anything under the sun.
Okay.
Strategy, I work in our labs department. So what I like to do, or what I do, is leverage our relationship with USF and Cyber Florida as it pertains to academic research. So having federal grants with USF, coordinating that relationship. It's been absolutely amazing. We're in our third year, and we actually have a presentation on Friday talking about our partnership and the research that we've had so far. So it's going to be amazing.
All right, so you didn't set out to end up here, right? So I know at one point you were convinced you were going to become a physical therapist.
Yeah.
And now you're facilitating, academic research, vulnerability and exploit research. How did you get from there to here?
That's a great question. So it goes back even further to when I was growing up. If you were to ask my mom what my dream job was, she would tell you I wanted to be a wedding planner.
Oh, interesting.
Right,
That's awesome.
Right. There was this little game, PC game I used to play. I think it was Wedding Planner or Wedding Party, and you had to be the planner. It was kind of like Diner Dash or something, a version of that.
Things are coming your way and you're
Exactly.
organizing them.
And
Okay.
I said, I could definitely do this. I'm killing it at the game. I love weddings. I love love. I can be there and tell people what to do. So if you think about it, a project manager, a wedding planner is basically a day of project manager. They know all the risks, they know all the players, and they're able to mitigate any issues that come up. So that was childhood dream, wedding planner. To get to project manager, I'll show you. I was going to be a physical therapist. I wanted to. I love working with people. I love sports and the body. And I always saw myself as a hype woman, so to speak.
Yeah.
Even in high school marching band, my leadership position, there was like band captain, drum major, all this. I was the motivator. I was the motivator. If we're doing our sets out on the parking lot doing our practice, I was the one that said, all right, guys, let's go. Last time, best time. We got this. Really getting everyone together. So with that kind of energy I've always had, I was like, I can be a physical therapist, help people get through their different injuries and get back to life. So that was how I wanted to be a physical therapist. Okay. Now, how do we go from physical therapy to here? I didn't go to grad school. I figured that was not for me, and I wanted to get into the workforce. So I worked in healthcare for about 2 years. I was able to leverage a project coordinator title in medical billing to then start in construction. In the height of COVID, I left medical billing. The construction company was like, we'll teach you everything you need to know. You're already a project coordinator. We'll just tell you all you need to know about ceilings. So for 2.5 years, I was a subject matter expert in acoustical ceiling tile and grid. And that was an amazing journey. Yeah. I always felt I was a little too shiny for construction. After having 2 layoffs in 8 months, I was looking for a change. So I'd been a project coordinator. When I was in construction, I became a project manager, and then I had the layoffs. So I was able to be on that journey for at least 5 years and kind of get the grasp of how to run operations and assess all these risks and players in anything, in any sort of operation. At medical billing, it was financial planning, but also in-office operations. It was COVID. I had to help with what protocols, and no one knew what they were doing, trying to keep up with the changing rules and everything that was happening.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had to be on the go constantly. Okay. And when I made the switch to construction, I had a friend who was already in the field, and she said, I love it. you definitely can pick this up. So it was taking those skills of project management and moving it through the different things. I can learn each thing. So 2 layoffs, 8 months, I'm out on my butt and I am trying to see what to do. Someone said, hey, Rapid7 just moved downtown. I said, what's that? They said, I heard they're great. I don't know what they do. I said, thank you.
And this is downtown Tampa.
Downtown Tampa.
Where we are.
Downtown Tampa, right where we are. And I looked it up and I saw this role and I saw project manager security research. And honestly, I kept going back to it. I didn't think I could do it. I was like getting into cyber. I know how to use a computer. I used to code in MySpace times, but...
And you were pretty good at the wedding planning computer game.
Exactly. If I can do Wedding Dash or whatever it was called, I can definitely, do this. So I kept coming back to it and I kick myself sometimes, but it adds to the story because I didn't think I could do it. I've been a project manager at that point for 6-7 years. I've got nailed down. The security research part, just having those terms in the title almost held me back a bit because I was like, research, I haven't done that since college in the chemistry lab because I was a health science major. And I was like, security, my dad's a locksmith, I could figure it out, But all in all, at the bottom of the job description.
Wait, really?
My dad is a locksmith.
Oh, that's really cool. It comes full circle.
Oh, yeah. Larry the locksmith.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that business. Yeah. Okay. In Tampa, right? Like
he works for the county now, but
Okay. Well, that's awesome.
But yes, so at the bottom of the job description, which is my favorite thing, it said, don't be shy, apply. And I kept going back to it like 2 days.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I do? But you got to do something. What if they take it down? And then you never did. And I said, the worst they can do is say no, right? So I just did one of these and submitted and gone.
Amazing.
And 3 years in May, I'm still here. So that was long-winded, but that's the big story.
That's an incredible, you're gangbusters, right? You're hitting, we'll talk more about what you do, but you're gangbusters, you're doing great. Did you ever talk to the hiring folks, like, a year, 2 years in and say, is that the strategy for Rapid7 to hire folks who may have different backgrounds than cybersecurity? What a great move you both made.
Amazing.
It has to be a handshake, right? You both had to agree to make it work.
100%. And I think it's important, especially in this field and in this day and age in careers, is that it's not always a linear journey. I don't need to be a cybersecurity student. I don't need to be an IT or systems admin student to get into that field. Cybersecurity is for everyone. So that's what I had to kind of overcome is when I got accepted, it's like, okay, in our interviewing and talking, I was able to describe how I was able to manage these different projects, like going from construction, from healthcare and how to do that. The different systems all helped me show that I can have this well-rounded perspective of looking for different things. You would never know that in this hall, there is just drywall above us. It is a basic ceiling. There's no acoustical value. The reason why it's not echoing so loud in here is because there's carpet and it's a high ceiling. So it's still sound, but if this was just concrete floor, it would be bouncing everywhere. But it's things like that where in a scenario when you're looking at vulnerability intelligence and exploits that are coming out, what is Cynthia seeing that people aren't? And it's not necessarily breaking into the vulnerability itself. It's what are our challenges as we get out our deliverables. So I helped facilitate our deliverables to our customers when it came to the blog, our email, when having an emergent threat response or a coordinated vulnerability disclosure, reporting vulnerabilities to vendors. So I was able to get into that. So I started project management. They said, we'll teach you these things. And I was anxious and nervous about vulnerability exploits and vulnerability intelligence is a very sought after niche in the industry. And then just a team in general at a large company. So I was like, what happened? Is this okay?
So Cynthia, what does it look like in practice, right? You've got this team, you've got these goals. What does a typical day look like or a project you might be working on look like?
So it's shifted a bit for me now. I was promoted, thank you.
All right.
Senior Strategic Engagement Project Manager. When I started, I was Project Manager Security Research. So I got my start with the Vuln Intelligence team. So there was really getting into the industry and understanding the work that the researchers were doing. I was able to take some of that burden off of them to do the facilitation with other teams and also the vendors. So they can truly be able to shift from vulnerability to vulnerability. Because it's not just like, oh, we've got one coming down the pipe. You might be working on a long-term project for a conference or something, and then boom, we have an O-Day drop and we immediately have to shift. So being able to be that connector and also be on the team with them to push that along is so important.
So it's the same team that might be, really it's the same team getting ready for a conference or a non-deadline but non-critical. That same team could then shift to working on something that's live.
Absolutely.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
So
I mean, it makes sense, but
they do research on everything.
The same group.
Yeah, they do research on everything. So they may be submitting for a talk or doing on-site research for, like Daryl's here actually, for example. Daryl's
Yeah,
our
I know Daryl.
I love Daryl.
I love Daryl so much.
He's our principal
Shout out to
IoT.
Daryl.
Shout out to Daryl. He's our principal IoT researcher, and he's actually here doing a session. But that was kind of my role before. Now it's shifted into liaising and facilitating our relationships, academic partnerships to be specific with USF. And Cyber Florida, of course, but with USF, we have a special relationship. We have the Rapid 7 Cyber Threat Intelligence Lab there. And that's how we do all of our academic research. So we have 2 grants from the agencies, NSF and ONR.
Oh, wow.
And we've been working with that for cyber training to help SOC analysts. So Friday, they'll be presenting a bit on what they've been learning so far.
So that's what the lab did. So that's what the lab is looking to train SOC analysts.
That's the goal down the line for sure. We're building up the infrastructure for that, but having the start of doing the research of what is needed for better training. Because right now, SOC analysts are looking at a 2.5 year burnout cycle. So truly being able to have kind of better training, and as Jen was saying earlier, being able to keep up with how AI and cyber are going to be commingled and how we need to navigate that, and what that does for the analyst.
Our podcast here has had a lot of folks who are successful in the industry who spent time as a SOC analyst.
Yes.
And so we have a confirmation bias with that, where we've met people who did a year or 2 in the SOC, and they always look back on it. Maybe we'll ask them a question, they'll say, oh, it was great, they'll tell a funny story,
right.
But they're not doing it anymore. You don't meet people who've been 20 years in the SOC or 10 years in the SOC.
Yeah.
What we don't meet are people who burned out and then left the industry to go do other things.
Right.
So that's fascinating that you guys are working on that project.
It's very interesting because I feel like a lot of folks, that's the first thing they want. I want to be a SOC analyst, or I want to be a pen tester. And that's part of when I'm working with the students, they're like, I'm going to do this and or this. And I'm like,
enough. I want to be in the Air Force. I want to be a fighter pilot. You're like, there's other jobs.
And
Right.
I want that for you, but there are other things you can do that still have that. And it's not just 2 pathways. So part of the partnership and just in general is creating awareness, not only for the Tampa Tech boom here, education. So with the Bellini College, it's the first of its kind in the state and like one of 2 in the nation, having that cohesive feel of everything, being unified. I think it's important. So now we can get that out there. And I don't want to say just unified and slaying down together, because there are programs where they blend degrees, finance, economics, to really get everyone going, because cybersecurity is really for everyone, because it's in everything we do. No matter where you work, you're going to have multi-factor authentication. And it all starts with each of us. If we all do our part, we can live more securely.
I'm curious to hear more about some of these research projects. I'm specifically curious about something that was maybe challenging for you, and how you helped your team navigate that.
Yes. So a lot of the challenging parts is time, and being able to get the right folks in the right places. So data sets we've got going across. What I'm able to do and what I try to do is at least mitigate some of those challenges, right? Communication lines, because everyone's got other things going on. Research ends up being an extracurricular. So being able to have that kind of grace and platform to kind of move along is really where I'm at. And to get through those challenges is give yourself grace. You have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, you are one person.
Yeah.
It is all right. The world's not going to come to an end, as sometimes I fear. The research will still happen. So one challenge I have is sometimes getting the right people on board, having to advocate for something that may not have a necessary immediate ROI.
Yes.
So really having to pull in folks of, this is the long-term strategy. This is something that can really build. So you were asking if we have the program yet. I'm still waiting on some of these things, but really being able to lay it out and shaking things up. Not everyone knows to do these things, or they're like, well, we haven't done that before. Let's do that.
Yeah,
why not?
That's why it's valuable.
Let's shake it up.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why it's valuable.
The same thing.
Yeah. Speaking of shaking things up, it's obvious that you lean into being uncomfortable. In fact, I think that you specifically talk about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And your story has a lot of moments where you clearly, like just applying for the job at Rapid 7 in general. But I'm curious about another moment maybe that you really leaned into the discomfort and it kind of led you to where you are now?
Being comfortable with the uncomfortable, it's an everyday journey.
Okay.
You have to, there's different things. It's not going to be a universal factor. And we're all human, right? It's not a Men in Black, just flash and you forget it all. But
Fortunately.
it's not Groundhog Day. But, you have to kind of center yourself and ground. And to be able to get through that, I'm trying to think of my most recent uncomfortable moment.
Well, maybe I don't want to answer for you, but before we started, you were nervous about this being your first podcast.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just needed to bring me back. So this is a week of firsts. Yesterday, I held a Women in Cyber panel at our welcome happy hour, and I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable kind of, coming up with the idea. I was like, this would be great. I want to do it, but where do I start? What's going on? Like, that was the uncomfortability portion. And part of that is, working on confidence and being able to tell yourself you can do hard things, do it hard, do it sad, do it mad, but do it. So I said, we're going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. I got the right folks on board. I said, hey, we haven't done this before. I want to do this. We're going for it. And I was able to knock it out and everyone loved it. And I got off the stage and I was like, I don't know how that went. And everyone's like, it was phenomenal. It was so good. I loved what you were saying and the questions you asked. And I was like, great, thanks so much. And
Now you have to do the next 10 panels. That's the only problem.
See?
Well, that's the other thing. They were like, I think you've been so good at this and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I was shaking in my boots. But it went so well. And it made me feel so great because a lot of the people said it really resonated with them to hear those experiences of starting out elsewhere. So I asked two main questions. Basically, how have your past experiences shaped your career a bit? Because several of them had different backgrounds. Melissa, I think she's here in the room. She started out as a stage director in theater.
Interesting.
And now she's spent 25 years auditing in cyber. So she's auditing and compliance. So doing amazing. So different things like that, having those things.
Yeah.
So I was uncomfortable, reaching out to everyone, kind of blindly said, hey, I was wondering if you'd want to do this with me. And they all were on board, and I expressed them my concerns and my uncomfortability. And I think part of that is also sharing your vulnerability with others to show that, you're not alone. The human experience is so universal. We have different journeys. Don't get me wrong. No journey will be the same, but we have to understand that we're not alone in some of these things.
We talk about building community and how you go about doing that, right? Like, are you a connector? Do you feel yourself as a connector? And how does that sort of manifest itself on a day-to-day basis? Yeah. Just every day, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I laugh because I've always
You're
been
thinking of introducing us to people you know probably right now.
100%. I'm already just starting with the networks,
Yeah.
We mentioned Daryl earlier. I was like, yes, I remember us talking last year with Daryl. How does that manifest in my everyday life? I love my pickleball community. Shout out pickleball.
Yeah.
My LGBTQIA community.
Yes.
But in general, community is just bringing people together that normally wouldn't be together. So having to say, hey, let's go to dinner, for example.
Yeah.
This past Tuesday, went to Tapas Tuesday with some girlfriends. I wasn't sure I was going to go because I was like, I got a big week ahead. But I said, you know what? I need to eat.
Yeah.
Let's see if they want to go. I invited one person, and she invited me actually, and I was like, I'm not sure if I can go. I invited two other folks. They had never met each other. Left that dinner saying it was one of the best dinners ever.
Amazing.
Of just such great conversation. And normally these people may not have run into each other.
Right.
So bringing that in on the day-to-day with pickleball. I love pickleball. I want to encourage everyone to at least try it. You don't have to love it. You don't have to love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll love it enough for the both of us. So having people just want to play, because it's a universal thing. The love for pickleball, because I now have a best friend. His name's Bob. He's 80. He's a killer on the court. But in what other universe would Bob and I really, hit it off? We email.
I love it.
We email.
Incident of accidents. How do you create opportunities to meet people? It's really hard to do these days. There's not casual meeting people in the line at the grocery store anymore. Everyone's on their phones.
Well, you got to make your own meet cute. That's the thing.
Right.
You got to make your own meet
You got to
cute.
meet the Bobs out there.
You got to meet the Bobs.
Yes.
So yes, a lot of communities. That's the fun stuff, but also in work is having those happy hours and really bringing together the different student groups. I've talked to them, especially with the college, that we need to unify the tech and cyber student organizations and try to do larger events for all of them. There is much importance in having each of those types of student clubs, but I think also to have everyone have access to kind of those things. And I think that's the important part, especially about the new cohesive college at Blaney.
Education means a lot to you.
Sure does.
And another community that has meant a lot to you, or at least in the beginning, was marching band. You've said that it saved you. So what did it give you that nothing else could?
At that time, a safe place, a family, and safe place and outlet are the same thing, but just another home for me. Going through a divorce, it can be very hard. And at that time, it was very long and drawn out, very sad. But being in band, that was my third home, essentially. Mom, dad, band. We had practices twice a week and games on Fridays. And band camp in the summer, which honestly, this cannot be the same heat that we used to do band camp in. I have no idea how we survived. But having that commonality of my brothers and sisters that, hey, I'm lugging around a 55-pound sousaphone. I played tuba. And
gosh,
my director was just so amazing. And he's now a principal at a high school in the area.
Okay.
That was his goal. So he was doing his doctorate when we were in his class.
amazing.
I understand you're going back into the classroom for the Great American Teach-In. What does that feel like to kind of come full circle?
I want to cry. It was it was so amazing. So I love the Great American Teach-In for a few reasons. My mom used to do it when I was growing up, and I grew up here in Tampa. And I knew that, especially when I started at Rapid 7, because the journey, I want to go back and tell people, you can do this too, and it doesn't have to be the same way I did it, and you can have your own way. So this past November, my mom used to do it. Everyone loved it, and I loved it so much. My mom was a pharmacist. She would bring in like a mortar and pestle set for all the kids and Smarties, and we would grind those up and put them in a capsule, and that was compounding. But to break down the basics of this is a different piece of pharmacy.
I can do this.
You can do this.
It's hard, but
it's hard when you can do it, and it's so interesting. In my mom's textbook is my grandfather, and that's actually how she met my dad. Is she did her externship at my grandfather's pharmacy in New York.
That's so cool.
She would bring her textbook and be like, look, my father-in-law, and it was just such an amazing thing. So the Great American Teach-In means a lot to me. My parents were very involved when I was in school. So to be able to have the chance to go back myself, I went back to my own school. I went to Stewart Middle School. I saw my previous educators, my principal, and when I first walked up there, they're all kind of looking at me like, I know you somehow, but I don't know. All of them thought I was my mom. They all thought I was my mom. I was like, no, it's gosh. Cynthia. I'm a big girl now. We look so much alike, So it was incredible. I did a password game with the students. We had a 7th grade class. I gathered some of my colleagues from Cyber Florida and a few of my PhD students at USF. And I came up with this password game to get the learners into groups and understand the different requirements that are needed for different types of accounts and have them create something. And just kind of go over that exercise of why that's important, why don't we use our personal information, and just understanding that, because cyber is for everyone and it starts with the individual user, and we've got to start with our kids because they're going to be the workforce of the future. So showing them that, hey, this is just a start. This is your first thing, your password. There are so many more things.
Yeah.
But if you start here, good foundation, right?
Exactly.
we're going to turn in a second and take a break for our lifestyle polygraph. But our producer Rex did tell us that, but just take a step back. Tonight at CyberBay, there's going to be a musical performance where I believe
there is
the lead singer of Foreigner,
what?
Sugar Hill Gang. If I'm remembering that correctly, I think that's what's happening tonight at CyberBay.
Sugar Hill Gang?
What?
And the lead singer of Foreigner and one other band.
A strange combo.
So I don't know what's happening. It's going to be amazing. But I understand you had a recent encounter with an entertainer in the music industry. Perhaps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think this was 2021.
Okay.
I love this story. I think I remember which one Rex picked. My best friend and I love concerts. We go to all kinds of concerts. We have a system when it comes to ordering tickets, and people after the math are like, oh, we would have loved to gone with you. And I'm like, did you prepare?
Right.
Do you know what time pre-sale is?
Right.
Do you
Start
have the
6
code?
months in advance.
It does start
Yeah,
6
there's a
months in
team on
advance.
this.
Right.
Project management.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
You get it.
Exactly.
Put the work in to get outcomes.
Exactly.
You don't just decide the morning of.
We need runway.
Unless it's the lead singer Foreigner and Sugar Hill game tonight. In which case it's falling into our laps. But.
So I don't know if you're aware of the rapper Young Gravy.
Okay.
You are?
Because of Rex letting me know.
Okay, so you did your homework. Very good. So we had a concert in October, I think, of 2021, and October, Halloween time, and I decided back in April to make my Halloween costume myself. I went to Joann's, RIP, and got fabric and all kinds of stuff and sewed together my costume. I was Mrs. Butterworth because he has a song called Mrs. Butterworth. And I thought it would be funny because it's in October, right?
Yeah.
I'd do that. I had this idea in April because I knew we were going to the concert. I didn't start until 3 days before the concert. But got it done, got together, it was amazing. Lexi and I had the best time. It was so much fun. I even pushed up closer to the stage when he played my song. It was amazing. I also had a, what is this?
Whisk?
So close.
Ladle.
Spatula?
That one.
There we go.
Thank you. I was like, what is this? I had a spatula with me. And the costume has a butter pad. So we finished the concert. We run into his DJ. I'm like, you guys going out? Like, what's going on? We're downtown St. Pete. It's so fun. He was like, not me, I'm sober. And I was like, okay, totally cool. We go out for the night. We're going to see what's going on. We see a lot of people in costumes because remember, it's near Halloween. We saw this dog dressed as not a Teletubby, a Beanie Baby.
Oh.
That's really cute. Yeah, I can see how that
It
looks.
had the little heart. And I'm on Instagram. We didn't like where we were. And I'm looking and I see Young Gravy pet the dog 20 minutes ago. I said, we just saw that dog. So we ran around the block. And we're like, we got to find this man. He's like 6'7". So he's really easy to pick out in a crowd.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're going to go into every bar.
Yeah.
And we went around the whole block, couldn't find him. The bus is still there. I'm like, they've got to be here.
Yeah.
And at that time, someone called me up and was like, do you want to enter a costume contest? And I was like, I'm defeated. I was like, fine, whatever. He's like, you could win $300. And I was like, okay. We go up to the landing. And as they're announcing that I've won the costume contest, he walks in.
No way, what?
There's a picture of me like this.
Amazing.
I run to the man, take my money, and I go right for him.
That's hilarious. Thank you.
I said, thank you.
Somewhere to be.
I'm about to go get some shots.
What a turnaround night. That's amazing. All right, that's it. All right, well, look, we gotta take a short break after that. When we return, lifestyle polygraph.
Ooh.
Stay with us.
You're listening to the No Password Required podcast. We cover cybersecurity and a lot of other stuff.
Welcome back. As many of you know, the lifestyle polygraph is a test used by our federal government to determine whether someone is worthy of learning our nation's most important secrets. Here, though, we use the technique for only slightly lower stakes to determine whether our guest can join our fantasy cybersecurity squad. Cynthia, are you ready for the lifestyle polygraph?
Okay.
All right, question number 1. Would you rather mentor one person deeply or connect 10 people to a network?
I love them both, but I think I'm going to connect 10 people. And I think within that, because it doesn't say that I can't also connect with those 10 people deeply.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew
I can
it.
connect them,
I felt
and then
it.
I get deep with each of them.
That's
So,
right.
You could be a mentor who then is connecting your mentor to people. I mean, part of mentoring is here's how I did it, and here's some people you should meet
Absolutely.
too, right? I mean, do you find yourself being drawn to mentor to mentor people? It's a verb, right?
Yeah.
To mentor people. I was like to mentor people, or are you because everyone has different roles. I'm a terrible mentor. I'm a good sponsor. I'm a terrible mentor. And so, I know my strengths,
Yeah.
right? And so I won't mentor
I
people.
raise you a question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a sponsor and a mentor?
I'm good at putting people within my firm into opportunities. I can spot opportunities and spot people who will be good, and I put them in there. But I'm not good at every week we're going to have a check-in on how our feelings are and how our career is going. I'm more putting people into great. And so if you're a connector, maybe the mentoring just becomes a connecting session, and maybe
And I think it's mentoring light is how I'll put it. Like connectivity is the big part, and then mentorship light of like, let's talk through this thing. You tell me what your problem is, and I'm immediately like, okay, this is what I think we should do. Or do you want to take a look at this? Have you thought about this perspective? Even if it's the questions like, I've already thought of this a million times, Cynthia. And I was like, but if we think about it this way, prime, maybe this is the one, you know?
Yeah.
So I would definitely say connector and connect 10 people. And then break the rules and then deeply mentor all of them.
Yeah, this is cybersecurity. It's basically a requirement to break the rules a little bit. All right, question number 2. If you could hire any fictional character as your full-time assistant, who would it be and what would make them perfect for that job?
For some reason, the first name that came to my head was Kimmy Schmidt. I know. And that doesn't make any sense. She would be great. I think she would be fantastic.
Yeah.
We can talk through things, and she'll also give me her different perspective of what do you think
very
this is?
different perspective.
Very
High
different.
energy.
High energy.
Yeah.
I also thought about Titus, because if she's my personal assistant,
I mean,
Titus is going to be around. So we can sing together.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll bring you back down to earth
Oh, he will humble me real fast.
real fast. I love that. Okay, number 3. If Beyonce walked into your office today, what's the first thing you'd ask her? And please feel free to explore the space and walk us through every detail of this interaction.
Beyonce?
Beyonce.
Well, if she comes to the office, that means I've picked up the desk phone. Actually, Beyonce doesn't have to call for anything. The doors would have already opened for her.
Sure. The force. Yeah.
Security far gone. I'm letting Beyonce in. I'm kidding. When she comes,
She would be appropriately badged and escorted.
appropriately badged. Julius will be right behind her. It'll be great. She comes in the office. I say, "Hello, Queen. Welcome to Rapid 7."
She's as close as we have to like an American queen. She really is as close as I think we have.
so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, she's just.
And mark my words, Act 3, I think is going to be this summer, and I want it to be a rock album.
Oh,
Think about
interesting.
it. She's been giving Tina Turner.
That's true.
that would-
You are not wrong about that.
Then that makes the Rock Hall of Fame that much easier when it becomes an
No one can
appropriate
argue
thing.
with her about it.
Yep.
Don't you dare.
Yeah. No, I mean,
No,
I
not
would
you,
know
the other people.
Okay, yeah.
I'm working-
I'm firmly on the
Don't worry.
side of the band.
We're friends. It's okay. I was talking through you to the other folks.
Okay.
Don't you dare. So what are we, what?
I think
Yeah,
that's
a
the
good.
perfect.
That makes sense.
Hello, Queen.
Hello, Queen. Welcome to
Get the
Rapid
word out
7.
about password management, please. At your next.
Multi-factor authentication. Okay.
Tell people to stop using your name as their passwords.
Right.
That's something I had to say to the kids. I said, "What's your dog's name?" Or I was like, "Do you have pets?" Well, at the Great American Teacher, they're telling me I have pets. I'm like, "What's their name?" And I was like, "Oh, you shouldn't tell me that. Do you use your pet's name in your password?" They're like, "Yeah." I said, "Not I love Doodle Poodle 371.
Right.
That's an easy one to take down. We have to change all of those." That's what I said to them.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. Question number 5. Sorry, number 4. I'm jumping ahead. You walk into a large room with hundreds of people you don't know. What happens next? Walk us through the first 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes, large room, people I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you say there's 100 of them?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Large room.
Okay, I'm imagining myself here in the Tampa Bay Ballroom. I don't know anyone. First thing I do is I'm going to do a scan of the room. I walk in the door confidently, as we should. Because I know a lot of people would take that to be an uncomfortable moment. It doesn't have to be. Be comfortable. Walk in, look around. They're not all looking at you. They're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're probably doing the same thing, trying to figure out who am I talking to. So the first 5 minutes, I'm going to scan the room. I'm going to find the bar for purposes of also scanning and starting with the first kind of strike up. Who are we talking to? Who are you? Why are you here? What's going on? And then start the network from there.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have somebody be like, "Hey, what's going on? Good to see you. Blee, blee, blah, blee, blue, blee. This is Cynthia." And I say, "Great. This is also my friend, Dylan." And
I've already you've connected someone.
we've already connected.
Oh, that's cool.
Right over, even if it's just the bartender.
Yeah.
I don't say just like
Yeah,
that,
I
but
mean,
like,
Right.
say, "Hey, how's it going? Cool crowd, you know? what have you seen? That's another thing.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Staff knows everything. So if you wanted to know something,
That's really good.
Smart.
hey, what have you seen out there so far? Where should I go network or work the room? Whatever the audience is, they're going to know.
Okay. Might try that tonight at
Yeah,
the
honestly.
lead singer of Foreigner concert.
You know what?
And Sugar
I'm going
Hogan.
to watch you do that. I'm going to go on the other side. I'm going to be like, go, my students. Go.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. You
Who
learned.
should I get to? Who's winning this? And who should I go talk to?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Who's the
happening
social
tonight?
butterfly in the room right now? They'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, that one, drinking Prosecco, having a great time, does this.
You don't have to call me out like that.
Right.
Let's go. Let's go. 3% go. Let's go. That's why they have 3 cases on the loading dock when I was walking up to
It was
them.
for me. They had to prepare. Okay, question 5. You get to host a dinner party for all of the educators who shaped you. Everyone is seated, glasses are raised. Give us your toast. And please don't make me cry.
That's
Okay. There are many of them that mean a lot to me. All of them, truly. They all had an impact on my life, even some of the ones where I had some challenges with. Shaped who I am. And at the toast, first off, thank you. Thank you for seeing that light and magic in me and nurturing it and not letting, kind of guiding me through not letting that dim through anything I was going through the divorce with my parents, growing up as a human child. Like, there's so many things that are going on in life, and your teachers are your day parents. You're with them for 6 hours a day, essentially.
Absolutely.
And I kind of feel the same way about, at work. You spend a lot of time with these people, more than sometimes your family.
Yep.
So to my educators, I say thank you. I wouldn't be here and in this way without you. And cheers and enjoy. Like, I would probably start bawling by then. Like, I would have got through there and I just would have looked at them and been like, do you remember when I made you a pillow when I first started sewing? And that was my teacher appreciation gift.
Right.
And she'll be like, I still have it. And then we're all just crying.
Yep, absolutely. Like,
Prosecco. I'm sorry. I told you we were going to laugh.
yes, I'm very appreciative for that. Okay, final question.
Okay.
Jack, before we move on, Cynthia was prom queen in high school and at USF, so clearly she's got something special our team needs. I think it's only right that I bring a crown to anoint her queen of the No Password Required podcast.
This is the first. What is it called when you invest a queen? Is there a word
Coronation?
for it? Coronation. This is the first coronation. This is against, typically we have democratic principles here.
Ooh.
But we're going to say it's an elected queenship.
I like that.
Yes.
Elected queenship.
And this is now the 3rd time you've been crowned queen. And are we getting appropriate photographs of this? May I?
Yes, please.
May I approach? This is it. This is the crowning moment. This is it. All right, well done.
So yeah, Jack, what do you think?
So yes, Cynthia has what it takes to join our fantasy cybersecurity squad. Cynthia, you are both the regal executive strategic project manager. We do not have anyone in either the queen role or the project management role.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for coming on the podcast today. If our listeners want to see what you're up to or follow you or get in touch with you on the socials, how can they do that?
LinkedIn is going to be the main one. LinkedIn.
Excellent.
Awesome.
All right, so find
Cynthia Wyre on LinkedIn. It's there.
Find Cynthia Wyre, and it's WYRE.
That's correct.
On LinkedIn. And that brings us to the end of the show here live from the 2026 CyberBay conference. Thanks again to ThreatLocker for putting the podcast studio together for us and for helping us out. For the entire No Password Required team, thank you, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks for listening to the No Password Required podcast, presented by ThreatLocker. No Password Required is produced by Cyber Florida And a special shout out goes to our friends at Carlton Fields and Reality Shift. For more content, follow us on social media at NoPasswordPod and visit our website at cyberflorida.org/pod.